Does Daesu deserve his revenge? In the 2003 film Oldboy, Daesu is kidnapped and confined in a room for 15 years. After a long struggle, he seemingly escapes but is allowed to leave by the man who imprisoned him as part of a longer scheme. Daesu spends the course of the film trying to learn who imprisoned him and why. In the end, it is revealed that a man named Woojin had him kidnapped and tortured due to something that happened while they were both in school. Woojin had sex with his own sister, and Daesu saw the incest happen. When he told other classmates, the sister committed suicide. Daesu's quest for vengeance against Woojin is actually itself the product of Woojin's own revenge against Daesu. Unbeknownst to Daesu, he begins a romantic relationship with a young woman who is later revealed to be his daughter. This, too, was part of Woojin's revenge. So, going back to the question, does Daesu deserve his revenge? Does Woojin? And what do we mean by deserve anyway? Retributive justice is a form of punishment that suggests those who commit wrongful acts morally deserve to suffer a proportionate punishment. For the act of kidnapping and imprisonment, Woojin morally deserves to suffer in equal measure. Believers in retributive justice contend that those who commit wrongful acts, especially serious crimes, should be punished even if punishing them would produce no other good for society at large. For example, imagine if Woojin, sometime after kidnapping Daesu, suffered a serious injury that left him physically incapable of conducting his criminal enterprise. For the sake of argument, let us pretend he is no longer a threat to anyone in society. Lawful imprisonment of such an individual is generally justified as protecting the population from him. However, if he is now incapable of doing so, what would be the point of confining him? If you answer, because he deserves it, then that is an example of retributive justice. It does not need to serve society, and if so, is that just for society and therefore justice, or is it revenge? Retributive justice must be supplemented by a theoretical justification for punitive, harsh treatment. The strongest criticisms against retributive justice are that its proportionality cannot be met without sacrificing plausibility, and that theoretical accounts of why wrongdoers positively deserve harsh treatment are inadequate without invoking the divine. Daesu's actions following his release are revenge in the sense that they are not legally justified, but is that the only way to compare and contrast justice and revenge? Another way to determine whether something is justice or revenge is closure. Revenge begets more revenge. Justice creates closure, at least that's what they say, but is that true? When Daesu raids his old prison, he comes across a guard. He wants information from the guard, so he tortures him by pulling his teeth until Daesu learns enough. Later, Daesu is captured and confronted with the same torture. This is a reference to the ancient eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth version of justice. There is no closure, the violence only continues and propagates itself. When Woojin enacts his elaborate revenge for his childhood slight, it creates a new quest for revenge for Daesu. Again, revenge spurs on more revenge ad infinitum. However, this line of thinking has a couple flaws. For one, if person A takes revenge on person B by killing person B, and nobody is aware that person A committed the killing, then nobody who knows person B would be able to take revenge. Therefore, there is closure. Does that retroactively make it no longer revenge, but justice? Furthermore, justice, if used through the legal system, creates a lot of opportunities for revenge because it is so public. Everyone knows all the players involved. Another method to contrast justice with revenge is the claim that revenge is motivated by self-interest, whereas justice is impartial. Woojin's revenge is highly personal and conducted by himself and his cronies. Daesu's revenge is also highly personal and conducted by himself and his daughter and friend. Although both his daughter and friend are made to believe Daesu only wants to know what happened, not that this information is being gathered for revenge. So one could claim that Daesu's revenge is a solitary effort. But again, there are flaws in this equation, most notably that justice is impartial. The idea that the legal system is impartial is a comfortable lie that we tell ourselves. There are all manner of biases that impede justice, some of them unconscious and some of them systemic and written into the legal system. Woojin seems like he has the money and power to protect himself more than the average person. If, instead of his personal revenge, Daisu attempted to have Woojin arrested for kidnapping, what is the likelihood that Woojin would be convicted? How can we implicitly trust the police and the justice system when we have so much evidence that supports mistrust? Must Daisu's pain, misery, and lost 15 years be sacrificed on the altar of society, or does he deserve retribution however he can find it? Another way to contrast justice with revenge is by asking, who does this action serve? If the action serves the individual but not society, then the action is revenge. If the action serves the individual and society, then the action is justice. If Daisu had killed Woojin, that would serve his revenge, but wouldn't it also serve society to be rid of him? An argument against revenge, in this case, could be that Woojin's revenge created another attempt at revenge by Daisu, but the teenage Daisu's actions were not illegal, and possibly not immoral, only unfortunate. Its effects, the suicide of Woojin's sister, were calamitous, of course, but if the consequences of an indirect act eventually results in catastrophe, is the person who committed it even responsible? Daisu did not kill Woojin's sister, she killed herself. Also, they were all children, and not as culpable in their actions as adults. Woojin, on the other hand, definitely committed an illegal and immoral act against Daisu by kidnapping him and imprisoning him for 15 years. The film tries to make the case that revenge begets revenge, but their individual actions are not similar. This may be a false equivalency. Halfway through the movie, Daisu puts a hammer to Woojin's head, ready to kill him. Woojin says that if Daisu enacts his revenge now, the truth about the kidnapping would never be revealed. Is Daisu's revenge more important than the truth? He relents, suggesting it is, but it does not seem definitive. He still wants revenge, he just wants both. He wants his revenge and the truth about why he was imprisoned. Woojin says that seeking revenge is the best cure for someone who has been hurt. If that is true, then the value of revenge is psychological. It does not benefit society in any appreciable way. It benefits the person seeking revenge, and even then not in a material way. Is revenge justifiable if the only benefit is brief and psychological? Woojin says that revenge is good for your health, but then asks what happens afterward. Wouldn't that pain return? Daisu says that even if he is no more than a beast, he has a right to live. Daisu has human rights, whether imbued in him through the divine or through law, but if that is true, then his antagonist, Woojin, has the same. What if there is no difference between the way most cultures mete out justice and the concept of revenge, except for a few superficial and structural differences? What if what we call justice is a comfort we tell ourselves to satisfy both our instinctive needs and consciences? I hope not. Hi everyone. If you like what I do, please click on the orange Patreon link below. That's how this show happens. It's also how you can request an episode. There are also a lot of other perks for being a patron, so check it out. The information is on my Patreon page. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next week.